This is Sarissa Shield versus Stephen Lee Winter, case number 25201355. We're trying to have an insurance tonight as to whether or not to enter a permanent protection order on protecting Ms. Shields. Couple of preliminary matters, counsel, and then we'll get started quickly to make efficient use of our time. First of all, Ms. Denver, I don't know if you are aware of this. I believe that this may be a video, a USB thumb drive your client had given the court some long time ago. I have not viewed it. There was no motion to request an admission. There was not, to my knowledge, there wasn't a copy that went to the opposed party. So I have not in any way viewed or reviewed this. I just want to make you aware of it, but I'm not intending to do anything with it. I'll give it back to your client if he wants it, but again, it hasn't been reviewed in any way by the court. Either in this hearing or in the prior hearing or any of the prior hearings. So okay. I'll just make you aware of that. You let me know what you want to do with it. If there's an agreement, do something with it or give it back to you. You can find out. Secondly, I just want to get a sense of where we're at here. I have reviewed everything that was filed. Counsel for Ms. Shields, did you file anything in the last day or so? I reviewed this file a couple of days ago. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, Your Honor. Okay. Very good. And are we prepared to proceed then today? Yes, Your Honor. All right. Counsel for the moving party, which is at this point Ms. Shields, how would you like to proceed?
So I would call Ms. Shields, and then I think Your Honor said we could call additional witness, and I have her mother after that.
Okay. And Ms. Denver, are you gentlemen in agreement with that plan? I assume you have a witness and probably one additional witness as well. I will note for the parties that I reviewed all the declarations as well that have been filed in the last both a while ago, broadly speaking, and then also the most recent filings. I did have a chance to review those.
Yes, Your Honor. I anticipate we will likely ask you just to take into account the testimony that was set forward in the declarations, although we'd like a chance to hear what the parties testified to first. So we reserve on that, and also ask that for some clarification. I don't recall, well, I know that petitioner didn't file a motion requesting permission to have non-party witnesses. So I don't recall that discussion that it would be allowed at the last hearing. Certainly, if it was something that was discussed, I suppose we'll have to go for it. But normally in these types of hearings, there is a motion that needs to be heard regarding non-party witness testimony.
No, I'm very, I believe I was very clear at the last hearing that I would allow one party, I would allow each of the parties to testify if they so choose. I'm not going to force anybody to testify, obviously, and that I would allow one additional witness if the parties believed it was necessary, but I was limiting it at that. Other than that, I would take it up on declarations. That's my fairly clear memory of what I said at I believe that was on March 25th. Okay. So again, but you would also get that witness, Ms. Denver, if you so choose. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor. The evidence will show that Mr. Winter has engaged in a course of conduct that has annoyed and harassed and caused Ms. Shields substantial emotional distress, and we're going to ask you to enter a permanent no contact order.
Thank you. Ms. Denver?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I believe the evidence will show this case arises from a contentious relationship between neighbors regarding a property line dispute While the interactions between the parties may have been strained, at times unpleasant, they do not constitute unlawful harassment as defined under the statute or stalking. At its core, this petition is based on a single verbal altercation in which respondent allegedly used offensive language towards petitioner and her husband. The issue before the court is not whether that was inappropriate. The question is whether it meets the legal definition of unlawful harassment. And I don't believe the evidence will show that it is here.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, counsel for Ms. Shields, I apologize. Mr. Gooday, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sorry about that.
No problem, thank you.
I apologize.
Okay.
Mr. Gooday, your witness.
Sure, so, I'd like to call Ms. Shields.
Ms. Shields, raise your right hand. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you give will be truthful and accurate?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Your witness, counsel?
Okay, so Ms. Shields, what was the, so Mr. Winters, how do you know him?
He is a neighbor that I lived next to for 7 years.
And what was the first kind of negative interaction you had with him?
We put our house on the market in in May, and then in June, Mr. Winters came up to Nick and I and was stating that he wanted.
Ma'am, could you just keep your voice up just a little bit? I'm having a hard time hearing you, and I'm not sure that the audio is picking up. Was it picking up at all? All right, just try to speak up and keep that microphone good and close. Thank you.
Okay,
So what was the first negative interaction you had with Mr. Winter?
I would say that the first one was when him and his wife were seen in front of my house measuring or doing whatever, and I actually had gone out there to offer help, and also I stated to Mrs. Winter, you know, did you like and use the walking path that I had shown Mr. Winter? And she stated, why the hell would I do that? And I was very confused. I even stated that I was confused. I said, Stephen told me that this was all about you wanting a walking path to go and get your mail. And she said, oh, he said that, did he? And I said, yeah. And I said, Stephen, have you shown her the path yet? And he said, no. And I said, oh, okay, well, if you do like it, I'll let the new homeowners know, and I'll let my realtor know, and I'm sure they won't have a problem with it. So she said, okay, thank you. Good luck with your sale. But then Mr. Winter, in his original petition, wrote that I challenged for his wife's right to walk on the road in front of my house, when by Kimberly's own statements, that's not what happened at all. I was very friendly.
And then shortly after that, did he come on your land 3 times digging it up?
Yeah, we had moved out of our house in August, and as the sale was, we had accepted an offer, and as the sale was being finalized, he came onto our property 3 separate times and dug up parts of it and put in various poles and stakes without discussing anything with us.
That alarm or annoy you?
Yeah, it was very alarming. I don't think anybody would appreciate somebody trespassing and damaging parts of their land without letting them know or having any kind of conversation about what they were doing.
And then so shortly after that, was that the incident where he sabotaged the sale of your house?
Yes, we were at the house doing a final walkthrough with the buyers and their elderly parents. And Stephen came over multiple times in front of the buyers and the realtors. And he called us. He said, you're a f***y. He said, get the fuck out of the car, Nick. You're a. I stated multiple times to please stop. I even stated that you're scaring the buyers and you're wrecking our sale. He said, yeah, what are you going to do about it? I said that I'm going to call the police if you don't stop. And he said, I'll call the police, you fucking thief. And it was just absolutely horrible. I was embarrassed and I apologized to the buyers multiple times, but we knew that the sale was wrecked after that.
Was that detrimental to you, that whole incident?
Yeah, we now have 2 mortgages, multiple bills, and I can't even go over there to keep up on the landscape without fear that he is going to further harass me or be aggressive.
So shortly after that incident, then did you try to get a survey through a place called Matt's?
Yes, we contacted Todd Matz and he came out the morning of October 26th.
So
And
can I get that name one more time?
Todd Matz,
How do you spell the last name?
MATZ.
So what happened there?
He came out the morning of October 26th, and while we were walking around trying to find the property corners, Mr. Winters was following us through the woods and was hiding in the bushes with his grandchild while all of this was occurring. Todd Matz saw it as well, and he stated that was creepy, and he thought that he was listening to our conversation. And then he ended up not finishing the job because he couldn't find the markers, but also because Stephen creeped him out. Although he did not say in his text messages that that was the reason, me and you would not have reached out to him in voicemails and text messages asking him to be a witness of what occurred. And I, in fact, said in those text messages, if anybody does talk to you, all I can ask is for you to tell the truth.
So you're just trying to get the truth out of him.
Yes, he said that he didn't want to be involved in clients' legal situations beyond something that was just a survey.
But you remember him telling you that the whole incident creeped him out.
Yes, he said that. He's the one who actually pointed Stephen out in the bushes. And we actually thought it was a girl at first because his grandson has long hair.
Okay, so they had filed declarations that you're making that incident up. Is there any information you could give the court to show that you're not making that incident up?
Well, he first said that he was out of town. Then he said that he was in town taking care of his grandchildren. Then he said that he drove by us and didn't interact with Matt's. And now he's saying that he did interact with Matt's with his grandchild present, but that was the day before. And like I stated, if you read all of the text messages, I'm asking him to please do a declaration of what he witnessed with Stephen's behavior and to just please tell the truth.
So obviously you saw a kid with him.
Yeah, we didn't even live on Leland anymore. How would we have known that he even had his grandchildren that weekend?
So the fact that he's admitting that he had his grandchild and that he's changed his story multiple times goes to show that you're telling the truth about that?
Yes, I've been honest throughout this whole process of defending myself and proving his actions.
Did that incident alarm you when he was standing behind the bushes during the?
Yeah, that's not the actions of a rational person or somebody who has good intentions. I know he may have been stressed about trying to find the results of a survey, but you should not stalk somebody and follow them around and hide in bushes to get that accomplished.
And so after that incident, that the Winters called the cops on you?
They called on November 3rd, and they stated, quote, from the actual police report, that me and Nicholas Shields are seen on video on Saturday, November 1st, stealing $2,600 worth of survey stakes, which is completely false. It was one wooden stake. I confirmed this with Butler. I actually called them and apologized, and they confirmed they did not have $2,600 worth of stakes out there. And then later he's like, oh, well, this is $26 of the stakes that were mine that previously he had put on my land. But we showed documentation that those 4 poles that he put on our land without our permission were $7 a pole. And after we dug them up, we put them over by his side of the road and they remained there for many weeks.
You never stole any, you just dug them up.
Yeah, and I left a voicemail. I said that we are digging these up. I asked him to please stop doing this. And I said, if you're going to get an official survey like you said you were, then please stop doing this. And until you do get a survey, stop trespassing and digging up parts of our land.
So it was like 4 stakes worth $8 that you placed on the ground.
That he placed in on our land, yeah. And then when the survey was done, it actually proved that every time he came on our land, he was in fact digging up parts of our land. He was trespassing the whole entire area, the wood slice plats, the benches, the moss archways that he keeps saying I built a plastic structure, a wedding chapel. And that is a complete misrepresentation because it is a tree that grew sideways and has moss arches on it. I did not build any structure. I actually supported this by showing photos of the area and that there is no plastic structure built there, that it is just a tree.
So back to the cops, so basically he lied and told the cops that you were stealing thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Yes.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
Well, it was horrible. They're making up lies to get me in trouble with the law. Like that's horrible. They then called the cops again and said that I called Butler, and then I further lied to Butler, where in fact Butler came out and confirmed that it was one wooden stake. He showed me the easement and where we could build our fence. And Mr. Winter wrote in his petition that Butler Survey came out and told me that I cannot put down these stakes, and that and then he said I was screaming in the driveway later. That exact same Butler employee did a sworn declaration saying that that entire interaction was false and that Mr. Winter was lying.
So he lied to the cops about the whole Butler incident?
Yeah, the whole entire thing,
And
yeah.
then he lied to the court about the Butler incident because he said you screamed?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. He's mischaracterizing any evidence. There's no evidence that he's lying.
The sworn declaration shows.
Sustained, whether or not he's lying is an issue of credibility for the court.
Okay, so he told the court that but you screamed at the Butler guy.
He told the court that I had put down stakes, that they told me that I could not do that. And then after the interaction, I was screaming in the driveway. And in a sworn declaration, the Butler employee says that he never told me that and that I was not screaming in the driveway, proving that he lied.
And so after that incident, did the Winters call the police on you a third time?
Yes, they did. They called the police and they said, quote, Sarissa cut the power to our property and I want to press criminal charges. And I never, ever did such thing. I even showed in the declaration that a power incident had occurred with my neighbor over their shared well and that we have no connection or anything to do with the Winters land. And then Kimberly wrote in her statement that she does not remember telling the sheriff this and that the sheriff must have misheard her. I don't know how a person of the law can mishear you saying Sarissa cut our power and we want to press criminal charges against her.
Let's wrap it up, counsel, otherwise we're gonna be here all day.
Okay, and then the last part of it, do you feel like when he filed the original no contact order against you, that was a form of harassment in and of itself?
Yeah, I was completely thrown off guard by that. And I proved actually in my replies that he was the one who was harassing me. And that is why the judge or the commissioner realigned the parties and gave me a protection order.
And the commissioner himself said that he thought that was harassment, didn't he?
He did.
So given all of Mr. Winter's conduct, have you had any substantial emotional distress from all that?
Yeah, it's been extremely stressful. It's been a nightmare. I feel like I'm gonna wake up and this is all gonna be some bad movie or something, because it's been absolutely horrible. They're now shaming my character, saying that I'm sexualizing the men, and that I am extorting people, and that I am trying to steal their land. I'm accosting widows. I'm using connections to sabotage their survey. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and they won't stop.
No further questions.
Ross?
Yes, please, Your Honor. So I think you mentioned this dispute began after you listed your property for sale, correct? You didn't have any negative interactions with the Winters until listing your property for sale?
No, I had not had any interaction or any negative interactions with them. We had very few interactions, but the ones that we did have were pleasant.
And you admitted in your petition, or at least referred to a disputed area, correct?
Yes.
So there was some issue between you two that in terms of where the boundary line was between the two properties.
Yeah, once he did not follow through with saying he was gonna get an official survey and started coming on my land, it was very clear at that now there was some kind of dispute.
Okay, so you understood, he believed the area, a part of the chapel or that you built on was in his property, is that correct?
I did not build any chapel on the property. And he keeps saying that it's a plastic chapel structure. I never built any structure at all. He's misrepresenting that and he's lying about that. As I
Okay.
stated, it's a tree that fell sideways and created
was
moss
massive.
archways.
Okay, but there is obviously there is a disputed area between you two.
There was, yes.
Okay. And as you mentioned, Mr. Winter put stakes down. Those stakes were in the disputed area, correct?
Those stakes were shown to be on our land after the survey results.
But they were in and around this disputed area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you removed those items, correct?
Yes, and I called him and told him that I was going to remove them.
And did you remove them more than once?
No? What do you mean? How can I remove those four poles more than once?
So you at least moved 4 poles at least one time, correct?
Yes.
And did you tell him where you moved them?
No, we just put them over by the road that goes down to their house.
Okay, and you mentioned they were there for weeks.
Yeah.
And
I stated in my declaration that we noticed that they were still over there by the road and partially covered in leaves, so we put them on an area even further out so that they could retrieve them or see them. I didn't know if they left them there on purpose or not.
So they were more visible once you moved them.
What?
It sounds like they were more visible once you moved the stakes, correct?
Well, they were visible the first time. There was no leaves. It was the summertime.
And when he was putting the stakes down, did you understand he was trying to establish the boundary line?
All I knew is that he had told me he wanted a walking path and that he may get an official survey. And then after we moved out, he just continued to put marker after marker after marker, and every single one just kept going closer and closer and closer to our house.
So, and you understood that to mean that he was suggesting that there was a boundary line between your property, wherever those stakes were, right?
I guess.
Okay, and you disagreed with him about that boundary?
Survey results showed that that was not the boundary.
Should the survey results establish a boundary line?
Yes,
And according to your petition, there was just one direct confrontation between you and Mr. Winter. Is that correct?
you're talking about the day that he sabotaged the sale and scared me and the buyers and everyone?
The October 18th incident.
Yes.
And was he on the public road the whole time?
No, he actually came physically onto our driveway, blocking the cars from us leaving, and the buyer's realtor stated this in her sworn declaration and in the official incident report.
What's the official incident report?
You want me to go through what they?
No, where is it? Did you provide one?
Yes, I did.
It's not a police report, it's the email you're talking about.
The email of the incident report. What do you mean?
Did you submit to the court an incident report?
I submitted to the court what Christy Manny, the realtor's buyer, emailed the lawyers and realtors company of an incident that occurred and the reason why the buyers were now not following through with the sale.
So that was a report, that was an email. Right.
Of the incident, an incident report.
Let's move on.
Okay. You didn't call law enforcement, did you?
We were advised by the attorney and the realtor to call law enforcement and possibly get a protection order, get his behavior on record. And as I've stated in the previous thing, we thought about that, but we had already been moved out of the house, and we just wanted to get a survey as quick as possible and then move on with our lives.
Okay, you didn't call the police after the incident.
We did talk to them after the incident. What do
You
you
called the police?
Yeah, on the 23rd or 24th.
Okay, days later, and no criminal charges were filed?
No, we didn't request to have charges pressed against him.
Did you disclose to buyers that there was a boundary dispute?
I disclosed to them that I offered the neighbors a path to get their mail, and that he stated that he was going to possibly get a survey down the road. They said they were fine with him using that pathway and that they were fine with that as well.
Okay. And on the October 18th incident, the buyers went inside the house, correct?
The buyers were outside for the majority of all of this, as Christy put in her statement, of everything that the buyers and the elderly parents witnessed. But when he started to get even more aggressive and more threatening, she feared for her safety and the safety of the buyers and their parents. So she escorted them inside so that they could be safe.
Okay, I'm not. You testified you believe Mr. Winter was in the bushes during a survey. Is that right?
Yes, he was in the bushes.
Did you personally speak to him?
No, we did not speak to him.
And the surveyor did not provide a declaration confirming what you said?
As I just said in my previous statements, I reached out to Todd Matz, asking him if he would be willing to give a witness statement of what occurred.
And he said no.
He said he does not get involved in clients' legal matters outside of the survey results.
Did you get a copy of the survey?
We weren't able to get one because he didn't finish the job.
Did you get a copy of the survey that was completed by Butler?
No.
Did you build a fence that you believe is consistent with the boundary line?
If Butler came out and showed us where we could build the fence to make sure that we were not encroaching on the Winter's land, and we wanted to make sure that the new homeowners did not go through what we went through, and it creates a nice clear, identifying clean area for them.
So the boundary dispute has now been resolved. Is that correct?
Yeah, this isn't about a boundary dispute. This is about Mr. Winter's behaviors continually harassing me.
But you're no longer living next to Mr. Winter, is that right?
No, I'm not.
And you've had no conversations with him since the October 18th incident, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Redirect counsel.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other witnesses, counsel?
Yeah, Linda Ench.
Okay.
Where do you want her, Your Honor?
Just,
On my
have
phone.
her, she can come use this chair at the.
Here.
Why don't you just move over, so.
Yeah, just as long as she's in front of the microphone, good, so we can pick up that, the recording, yeah, the recording. Can you raise your right hand? Can you state your name for the record?
Linda Ench.
Did you affirm or swear the testimony that you're about to give will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Counsel, your witness.
So, Ms. Ench, have you been supporting Sarissa throughout this whole incident?
I have. I've been helping her with all the declarations and all the court stuff and supporting her just in general throughout this.
And you've been present in Sarissa's life when all the other incidents have been going on that led up to this?
I have witnessed some of the specific incidents, but I haven't been there for all of them.
Which ones did you witness?
The Butler survey, I was there when we talked to Brandon from Butler survey. And so I was a witness to what was said and what was not said. I was there when Mr. Winter and his wife came to and were measuring out in front of Sarissa's property. They were on the road and I witnessed that one. And oh my gosh.
And you're aware of the incident where Sarissa's house fell through because of Mr. Winter's actions?
Oh yeah, that's impacted us a lot.
And you're aware that the Winters have called the cops on Sarissa multiple times?
Yes, I actually was the one that suggested that we get copies of the sheriff's report.
And how has the conduct of the Winters affected Sarissa? What have you seen Sarissa's emotional state been like?
The reason I moved to Washington, one of the main reasons was because Sarissa has an autoimmune disorder and she's been to specialists and even OHSU and they haven't been able to help her much. And one of the things about an autoimmune disorder is stress. It causes mental and physical pain. And this whole thing that's been going on for over 6 months has impacted her tremendously. She hasn't been able to enjoy her new home. She can't go over to Leland without wondering if something's going to happen. And it's escalated to the point to where now she's having her character assassinated.
And the having the 2 mortgages, has that affected her?
Yeah, she's had to ask for help because now they do have 2 mortgages, their new home and Leland. And she's had to ask for help from family, including me and my mom, to try and get this to the point to where she can actually put it on the market again.
And has Mr. Winter's actions with the filing of this case, and has that affected Sarissa?
Well, it's never ending. I mean, it's been going on for 6 months. It seems like it's a game that they don't want to lose. You know, they're going to win no matter what. And it's not what I would think a court case was. It's more like a court drama TV thing where there's, you know, all these things that are said, whether they're true or not. And all we've been doing for 6 months is defending. She's been defending herself against accusations over and over again, even if it's the same accusation.
So you're saying the emotional distress that stress is suffering is turned into physical, it's physically manifested?
Yeah, with her autoimmune disorder, if the stress causes her body to react to it, and so her lower back swells up. She gets shingles. She's had like blisters that come onto her head. They're very painful, like shingles, and it comes and goes. There's all she can do is take pain medication and ice packs and keep going to the doctor to see if there's ways that they can relieve it. And it's been worse in the last 6 months.
Okay, I have no further question.
Cross?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, yes, thank you. How do you say your last name, Mrs. Inich?
It's Ensch, ENSCH.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You provided a declaration in this case, correct? Do you recall providing a declaration to be submitted to the court in this case?
Yeah, I think I provided more than one.
Okay, and I believe there was 2 incidents you referred to in your declaration. Do you recall that?
Mhm.
And the first incident you described in a conversation where you and Sarissa and Nick were outside and Mr. and Mrs. Winter came by. Do you recall that?
Yeah, well, actually, we were inside. It was my birthday and I had come and we saw them through the kitchen window and then we walked out.
Okay. And I believe you described that conversation as cordial and non-confrontational.
Well, it was not non-confrontational, but it was the way that Mrs. Winter responded to Sarissa's questions. She was clearly irritated.
Okay. But that was Mrs. Winter, correct?
Yes.
Okay, there was nothing confrontational about the interactions with Mr. Winter.
Not at that time, no.
Okay, thanks. And you were not present at the October 18th incident, were you?
No, I was not.
Okay. And do you understand that there's a ongoing dispute with another neighbor regarding a shared well?
Objection.
Sustained.
He sustained it.
Are you helping to resolve that issue?
Objection.
Where is the relevance here, counsel?
Well, Your Honor, they're continuing to allege that somehow my client is going around to all the neighbors' houses, trying to cause issues, trying to make life more difficult for her, and that's simply not true. They're defending themselves, and she has other issues, including this well dispute going on with other neighbors, and that is also likely one of the causes of the cell.
I'm not sure that's relevant. What I'm looking for is a course of conduct of specific incidences, whether or not they rise to that level. So whether or not there's issues with other neighbors is less concerning to me.
Then that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Counsel, before I leave, Mr. G'day, I will note that again, I have read all the declarations, I read the ones I'm saying this to both of you, but I have taken into account all the declarations read. Both in January, they were filed back around January 20th, or slightly before that, maybe in December. I've also read all the declarations by both parties that are newer filed, I'm gonna say in March, April, and the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I have read all the declarations, and I will consider them as I believe necessary, in addition to any oral testimony. Ms. Denver, any witnesses?
Just a minute, Your Honor.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's the fire just to go ahead. I think we're okay, but it's okay. 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 Your Honor, we would like to just go ahead and submit the testimony that's been provided through the declarations.
Are you including your client's declaration in that?
Yeah, I believe he submitted two. So there was an initial declaration and then there was a supplemental declaration. So yes, I would ask that you consider what's been provided through those declarations as his testimony, and he doesn't have anything further to add.
Well, I will do that, but I will let you know that if I have questions on those or credibility concerns about those, that it's difficult for me to determine those if he's not going to testify. But that's obviously your decision to make, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go
That's
forward.
your decision to make.
We'll go forward with testimony then, Your Honor. Thank you. Can I go ahead, Your Honor?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Wasn't sure.
Call your witness.
You need to swear in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will swear. Are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry. Also, your witness.
It's okay, thank you. Can you state your name for the record?
Stephen Lee Winter,
And where do you live?
150 Leland Road,
And how long have you lived in that residence?
approximately 7 years.
And can you briefly describe your background?
Retired emissions mechanic. I was certified Oregon and Washington to help people get through the emissions program for low income families.
And prior to that, did you serve in the military?
I was in the United States Marine Corps. I was an injection seat mechanic. I helped save officers' lives by my work.
Your Honor.
And when did you serve in that role?
88 to 93.
Hang on.
Oh,
Give
sorry,
me a
sir.
chance to rule if there's an objection first. Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
And after your military service, did you enter in to a career that you previously described as a mechanic?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And you're currently retired?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you do in your free time?
I train and rehabilitate large breed working dogs that have been sold to people that weren't qualified or that have behavioral issues with the dogs, and I retrain them and rehome some, and sometimes they go back to their original families as new pets.
And can you describe your family?
I have 3 daughters. They're all professional. The oldest one works for Smart Sheet. She works in the legal department there. She just finished up their MBA with a 4.0. The middle.
Move on.
Do you have any grandkids?
I have 3 grandsons now.
Have you ever been arrested or do you have any criminal history?
No.
And how would you describe your relationships with your neighbors generally?
Excellent up until the June incident.
And so tell us, how do you know petitioner?
She's the neighbor that lives up the hill from me.
And how long did she live there?
Approximately 7 years.
Okay, and so can you explain how this situation began?
I went up there to ask her to move her property off of mine and change her listing because she was advertising my land as hers. And she became irate, and her husband had to come out of the house and basically help her away from me because she kept getting closer, screaming and yelling. And when she did not get her way, she started saying how sick she was and how hard she worked on it. And I asked her, I just want your property moved off of my property so I don't have a problem with the new owners.
Okay, so would you describe kind of the issue between you and petitioner as a property line dispute?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you believe about the location of the property line?
From what I could tell from Google Maps and all the other survey things that were on my phone and the neighbor's survey thing, we determined it went right down through the middle of her chapel, and 50% of her pews were on my side. And I told her if I had a survey done that they do line of sight and they're going to cut right through it. And when they did the survey, they butchered right through her beautiful chapel thing that she had made, which I did not want to happen. I just wanted her to move it off of my property, and that was it.
Why was that important to you to address the boundary issue?
Because I didn't want the new neighbors coming in and having a dispute with them. Because the other neighbors who had sold their property had the same kind of dispute, and it cost them over $10,000 to figure out that where the property line was. And I didn't want to have any problems with the new neighbors, and I thought this would be a cordial, no big deal thing.
Okay, so what steps did you take to address the boundary issue?
I surveyed it with my own phone, and then I asked the neighbor Rick to use his phone so we get it a independent kind of thing going. And we went up to the property markers that were established by Butler, where they put where the pins were, the original pins. We checked them with our phones, and they lined right up. Several of them, in fact, lined right up. And so when we looked down, it went right down through the middle of the chapel. The pews were on one side and the pews were on the other side, and then went down the middle.
Let me just kind of back up for a minute. Did you have trouble initially finding a survey company?
Yes, we did. We went through several of them and trying to get calls back, and Butler finally called us back and set it up.
So did you attempt to mark the property line before Butler came out?
Yes, I did, because I was not having any luck with the survey companies.
And so is it correct to say you placed stakes in the kind of disputed area?
Yes.
And then what happened once you placed the stakes in the area?
I placed them, and that night I got a phone call stating that they dug them up and telling me not to do it again, and then threatening me.
And what did you do after you received the phone?
Well, I was kind of a bit in shock of her language on the phone call and her threat. And I reached out to more survey companies and finally got Butler back, and I had not been up there again until Butler came and did their survey.
Did she return the stakes to you?
No, and in her voicemail, she never mentioned where they were. And when I asked her, I believe on the 18th, the day in question, where they were several times, she never stated where they were, because if she'd have said they're over there, I'd have went and gotten them and left. And she came unglued about me asking about them, started screaming and yelling about the cops. And I told her, go ahead and call the cops. And I did use some foul language, but when someone tries to sell your land, steals your land, and threatens you, and you report them to the cops, and the cops are like doing nothing. I just wanted my stakes back, and I might have used some language that was not appropriate, but we're all adults here, and it's nothing you haven't heard in high school, I'm sure.
So was it accurate to say you were upset that she removed the stakes and didn't return them?
I was a little upset, yes.
Okay, and did you contact law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
Because she stole from me. She stole my stakes. The property line where I put them was on the property line, because where Butler they found the original marker, and it was actually 1.5 feet towards my property. But I told them I was more interested in the original spot than actually moving it another 1.5 feet over, which it aligned up perfectly with my stakes.
And did you believe that the stakes were worth a lot of money?
Well, I had to work to help. Well, I had to work off the work that I asked Rick to help me with, because no one works for free. And so I worked for him, and it took me time to do the survey. And again, I did it several times to make sure that I was as accurate as possible, because we weren't having any luck with the survey company. And I put the stakes down, and I reimbursed Rick by working on his car for him. And it cost me money to do that.
Who's Rick?
Rick is the neighbor that has a well dispute with them. That's why they can't sell their house.
Okay.
Objection and relevance of that statement.
It's so true.
I'll reserve on that for the moment. See what comes out. Continue, counsel.
Okay. Was the survey eventually completed?
Yes.
Okay. And what did the survey show?
It showed it went down, right down through the middle of the disputed property, through the middle of her chapel, and that I and the survey guys and the wife, we moved all her furniture, her big pews that were 10 feet long or whatever, something like that, over to her property, nice and neat, stacked them up, didn't damage nothing. And then I went back, which is about 35 feet from there, and moved her lantern thing and the big stump that it was in, rolled it all over to her property. And then I put stakes down as far as they would go down in the ground so they would not get pulled back up. And
Has that issue been resolved now?
yes,
Okay. And when is the last time you have spoken to the petitioner?
on the 18th.
Okay, let's just talk very briefly about that day. Why did you go, well, strike that, let me start over. What were you doing that day?
That day I went up there because a neighbor had messaged me and asked me to come look at their car because their lights, warning lights had all come on.
And who
And-
was the neighbor?
That was Patricia, the one that lives right next to Sarissa.
And how did you get to her house?
I walked up there and drove up there with my quad, dropped the quad off, drove her car back down to the house, walked back up, and that's when they were there. And I asked them for my stakes back, and they didn't reply. And I went and got the quads, stopped on my way back, stayed on the public road the entire time.
What,
Never got off the quad, never threatened them. I told them what I thought of them, but after someone steals from you, I mean, what do you do?
okay, did you ever move towards her?
No,
And I believe you mentioned you stayed on the public road. Was that for the entire incident?
yes,
Did you ever make any physical movements towards her?
no,
Did you threaten her in any way?
no.
And just briefly, what were you trying to accomplish?
To get my property back?
Did you know that any buyers or realtors were present?
No,
Did you speak with any buyers or real estate agents?
no,
Previously, had you seen any buyers walking around the property?
yes.
And did you ever talk to any buyers?
Once I said hi to him when I was walking by with one of the dogs. And I waved to some others when they were down on the old forest road.
Okay.
I was being, a good neighbor.
And after that day, October 18th, did you have any further direct confrontations with petitioner?
No,
Okay, moving on to this allegation that you were in the wooded area. Were you present in the wooded area as alleged?
no,
Did you see Matt's survey at any time?
I saw them, I think it was a Saturday. And they had shown up. I and my grandson were walking back from the mailbox because he's fascinated with mail right now. And I told him, hey, the butler was here, and I pointed out to one of the survey markers, that the original ones that was in the ground, and I hoped that he could find them all because it would save me a ton of money and a ton of work.
Just give me one moment, council. Thank you, council. We need to be out of here by 5, so a couple more minutes and then we'll, and then if you have any other witnesses.
Okay, did you hide in the bushes that day?
No,
Okay. Is there any ongoing dispute between you and the petitioner at this point?
no,
Is it fair to say this was a disagreement about property boundaries and not an attempt to harass her?
it was just about the property boundary.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect.
Okay, this is just a property dispute. Why did you file an order against her?
What?
You filed an order against her originally, right?
Yes.
Against her?
Yes.
You thought she was harassing you?
She was repeatedly coming at night, stealing my property. She came and stole my stakes. Then she came and she stole the survey markers, which is not a grand larceny, but is a It is a crime.
Did you get your stakes back?
Eventually, after the police told her and she put them where I could see them, because I'd asked for them several times. When I went up there, and she never mentioned once, she never mentioned on the voicemail that where they were, because if she had, we would have had no problem.
Okay. And
I was just trying to put the surveys there because we're having trouble getting a survey done.
is that the voicemail that you put on the USB stick?
Yes, and I had delivered to you too.
And that's where she said something along the lines of, if you keep pushing this, we're gonna have to take this further, or something along the lines.
Yes,
of
that threat. Yes, it was a threat.
That's the threat you're talking about.
Yes,
We're take this further.
yes.
Okay.
Did not mention the police at all. That was a threat.
Okay. So in June of 25, you told Sarissa that you were gonna get a official survey.
No, I said I was going to do a survey.
Okay. And before you did a survey, you just went and you started digging up the land and putting your stakes in the ground.
I did not dig up the land. I put stakes in the ground and I tapped them in so they could be removed if they were wrong, but they were not wrong.
And then on the October 18th incident, you called her a fucking thief.
Yes.
And you said, do you buyers know what kind of people you are?
No, I did not say that.
And you called her a
I believe I did.
3 times, right?
No, once.
Okay. And she said, you're scaring the buyers and wrecking the sale. And you told her, I know, what are you gonna do about it?
She never said that. And I didn't know there was any buyers there.
You didn't see all the cars lined up on the road?
There was one car in their driveway.
And you just went to get out of the car,
He was already out of the car when I was talking to him.
but you called him.
I believe I did.
Okay. So those are fighting words, right?
No, they're not fighting words.
So you
They're
wouldn't
a
want to fight
statement of
someone
my
if they called
opinion
you
of
a-
him. Huh?
You wouldn't want to fight someone if they called you
No,
you'd want to have a beer with them and hang out with them?
not when someone's stealing my property and trying to steal my land.
What about when they're calling you a pussy? How would you react to that?
I'd let them call me that because that's freedom of speech.
Right, so,
I never threatened them.
okay, and so if the Matt's survey message, you're trying to say Sarissa's trying to get this guy to lie for her, right?
I believe she saw the neighbors in the bushes
Okay.
with his girlfriend, one of Matt or John, the twins, that like to, that's their property over there. And they have a bench that they had in the woods and they watch them.
But you saw Sarissa's text to the guy saying, please, I just want you to tell the truth.
In the court documents, I saw that, yes.
So she's not trying to get anybody to lie then, right?
Well, I have no idea if she's trying to get anyone to lie, because that would be a lie
Okay.
if he had said that, because I was not in the bushes. It is against my nature.
And you know those stakes aren't worth $2,600, right?
How much is the survey?
You said, and the police report,
Answer the question.
The stakes,
you know they're not worth $2,600, right?
the stakes and the labor, I rounded up
Okay.
because the survey was 5,000.
In the police report, it says Paul reported that survey stakes valued at $2,600. So you said the stakes are valued at $2,600 to the cops, right?
The survey and the stakes.
So the cops just multiple times are getting your guys' statements wrong.
Objection.
I'll sustain that.
And you wrote in the court statement that Ms. Shields yelled and screamed at the Butler employee, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And didn't the Butler employee say that he never heard any screaming?
If that's what he said, that's what he said.
But you saw that he submitted a declaration?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
What he considers yelling and screaming might be different from me.
And then also a call from your residents was placed to the sheriff's department claiming that service had cut your power and you guys wanted to pursue criminal charges.
That is mistaken because there's no way she could cut our power. The deputy misheard because we had ongoing problems and we were talking about the well agreement where she had shut the well off to the neighbor's well 3 different times, I believe.
So the cops misheard on that one?
They misheard or misunderstood because that is not what the intent of the call was for.
So that would be the second time that the cops misheard or misunderstood you?
Objection.
I'll
I don't
stay
see
in
the
that.
first one.
Okay. All right, and then in your testimony, you said there was some language on a phone call or that you used some foul language. What were you talking about with that?
When she called and left a message,
And then you said you used some foul language.
when I talked to her on the 18th,
Okay, that's what you were talking
I've
about.
only talked to her once, disrespectful once, and that was it. Even when she came out and I talked to her nicely and she was yelling at me about me wanting to move her furniture off my property. And her husband had to come out and get her, and I asked them if anyone had mentioned that they were over the line, and Nick looked right at her and kind of told me that, yes, they had been told that they were over the line by Jeff and by Rick.
Okay, and then you got the property line dispute resolved.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you filed the case after that? You filed your petition after the property line was resolved?
After the property line was resolved, after they came and they took the property, I'm not sure of the date, but they came out, took the stakes, and I was wanting to put a fence up, so I had to do something so she wasn't coming back and taking my stuff in the middle of the night again.
So after the property line dispute got resolved, you still filed a restraining order against her?
Yes, I did, because I was informed to do that by the deputies.
All right, another minute or so. and
No
then-
further questions.
Thank you. Brief redirect.
Sure, just quickly. On the survey, which we've identified as exhibit 2, do you recall the date that it was signed and submitted to the or by the when the certificate was signed?
Me, the certificate completion, it was we kept bugging them to get it done as soon as possible because we were on an understanding that they needed to have it recorded to sell, and that was January 22nd, I want to say.
And you filed in December, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and again, you filed at the advice of the police.
yes, I did.
No further questions, Ron.
Thank you. Any other witnesses?
No.
All right, thank you. Closing, Mr. G'day.
Yes, we're asking you to grant the restraining order, Your Honor. Mr. Winters engaged in a course of conduct that is annoyed and harassed and alarmed my client. At first, they were gonna he's told her he was gonna get a survey, and then he's went on her land and dug it up and put stakes on. He sabotaged the sale of the house. I think they admit that that was unlawful incident. He's yelling at her and calling her names. We're not relying on only that incident as the reason for the no contact order. That's part of it, but after that, the Winters are calling the cops on her, saying that she's stealing $2,600 what the stakes are valued at, which is a lie. Then they call the cops 3 days again later, saying that Sarissa lied about the survey. And that's when Mr. Winters filed something with the court saying Sarissa screamed at the survey guy. And we tracked down the survey guy. He submitted a declaration. His name is Brandon Conradi. He said he never heard any screaming. So Mr. Winter is blowing up the sale of their house, accosting her, scaring her, yelling at her, calling the cops on her, lying about multiple things, and then using the court system to harass her, lying to the court on statements saying Sarissa's doing things she's not doing. Called the police a third time saying that Sarissa cut their power and that they want to press criminal charges. And we had the last no contact order hearing was so baseless. Your Honor made a comment that you found that that was harassment in and of itself. So all of those things established a course of conduct. My client's told you how it's affected her. My client's mom has told you it's caused Sarissa substantial emotional distress, which is manifested into physical distress and financial distress, which financial distress can lead to emotional distress when you gotta have 2 mortgages and you're afraid to go to your other house. So all the evidence has established a course of conduct that has harassed my client and called her substantial emotional distress, and we're asking your honor to grant, the temporary order was granted, we're asking to make it a permanent order, your honor.
Thank you. Ms. Denver?
Thank you, Your Honor. This case at its core is a property dispute between neighbors that unfortunately escalated into one bad interaction. But the statute requires more than a disagreement, more than a frustration, and more than one bad interaction. It requires a course of conduct, a pattern, something ongoing and directed at causing reasonable fear. And that is not what we have here. This was a property dispute. That's a legitimate issue. And everything in this case comes back to that one thing, the boundary line dispute. Mr. Winter believed that petitioner had built a structure or somehow crossed over into his property. As soon as he noticed the photographs on the online listing, he went to talk to petitioner about it. He did not want to have to resolve it with a new owner or have someone new buy the property without a clear understanding of what the line was. He told petitioner he would get a survey. There was some delay in finding a person to come do it, so he attempted himself to mark the boundary, and all that he was trying to do was preserve what he believed was his property until a survey can be completed, and that is a legitimate purpose. Under Cook v. Thompson, which I included in a copy of in my memo, the Court of Appeals specifically recognized that conduct tied to protecting property interests, even when there's a conflict, does not automatically constitute harassment. And that's what happened here. Even putting that aside, there is no course of conduct. There is just this one incident that happened on October 18th. That's the only direct confrontation between the parties. Everything else, the placing stakes, removing stakes, the survey activity, driving on the road, flows from that dispute and does not constitute a course of conduct. That single incident under the other case I provided, which was Lau v. Villa, held that a single incident, even if it's unpleasant, is legally insufficient. And here that's what we have. And it was about the return of the stakes. It didn't involve physical conduct. It didn't involve threats of harm. It resulted in no criminal investigation or charges. It might not have been polite, but it wasn't unlawful harassment. And the origin, again, was the property line dispute and the fact that petitioner kept taking his stakes out. She acknowledged that he put them there and she took them out. And at least one point in her petition mentions they were not returned to him, but buried under some leaves at the side of the road. Mr. Winter didn't know where they were. He didn't know there were other people at the property at that time. He didn't intend to disrupt anything, let alone the sale of the home. I think he would probably agree that he would like someone new to move in there. He was simply on the public road coming home from helping a neighbor. He saw petitioner and her husband outside, and he wanted to get his stakes back. Whether he, honestly believed they were $2,600, he has a right to. He believed that was the value. He was frustrated, so he called the police and they gave him the advice to file this petition. Petitioner relies heavily on declarations from others, particularly the broker. She was not present at that October 18th date, so the court should not give any weight to her statement. She has no firsthand knowledge. Everything she knows is what's based on whatever petitioner.
Who is that individual?
That's Pamela Jensen. She submitted 2 declarations in this case, and again, without knowing or having any firsthand knowledge. A protection order here is an extraordinary remedy and shouldn't be based on the secondhand accounts. Similarly, the suggestion that the buyers witnessed anything is speculative. They went into the home. Mr. Winters didn't even see them. There's no reliable evidence as to what, if anything, they actually heard. And to the extent that petitioner suggests the sale of her home was impacted, there's since been evidence that shows there were multiple issues with neighbors and things that should have been disclosed, including the ongoing will dispute with her other neighbor. This was not one-sided conduct. Like I said, petitioner repeatedly removed the stakes, didn't consistently tell respondent where they were, left them in places where they were not easily found, and admitting to raising her voice during interactions. All the while, Mr. Winter was trying to get his
Objection,
property
Your Honor.
back.
Arguing evidence not and was not presented.
I'll sustain on that.
I would also note there's no evidence of reasonable fear. There's no threats of physical harm, no physical movement at any point towards petitioner, no attempt to follow her, to contact her, no ongoing behavior after October. She mentioned that he was in the bushes. He denies that. He mentioned maybe, he talked to the surveyor the day before, but he wasn't hiding. There's no pictures, no photographs that suggest he's hiding or stalking her. And driving by her property, especially here, he must pass that way to access the road. He has to drive drive past her house to get access to the main road. And at all times he stayed on those public roads. So he had a legitimate reason to be here. Finally, Your Honor, I would say that the situation is over. The survey was completed. It was filed and recorded sometime in January. The boundary line has been established. We noted that Exhibit 2 shows the survey was filed in January. Petitioner built a fence consistent with the line. She didn't contest the findings. She's moved. They're no longer neighbors. There's no ongoing contact. There's really nothing left here to restrain. So for those reasons, we don't believe there is evidence here to constitute harassment. The protection order was not meant to resolve neighbor disputes. It was not meant to address every disagreement or instance of harsh language. It requires a pattern of conduct directed at petitioner without a legitimate purpose, and that is not the case here. It involves a property dispute, one isolated interaction, no threats, no ongoing contact. For those reasons, Your Honor, even taking the facts in the light most favorable to petitioner, we don't believe this meets the legal definition of unlawful harassment or stalking, and would ask that the petition be denied.
Thank you for that. Thank you for both of you for presenting the facts and doing so in a fairly reasonable time frame. Appreciate that. So I want to read from the January 20th, 2026 declaration from Christine and Annie, which no one, I don't believe, is called into serious question about the credibility. It may be disputed, but I haven't heard anything that leads me to credibility. I'm going to read from for a couple of paragraphs here. Starting in paragraph number 4, the man, that is Mr. Winter, walked directly past us and confronted the sellers who were standing in the driveway. Seller Sarissa responded calmly that he was trespassing and needed to leave the property. Due to the aggressive and intimidating behavior displayed by the petitioner, I immediately ushered the buyers inside their in their parents into the home for safety, and then it continues on. It continues on then about the pulling into the driveway, cursing. But the key here issue is that Ms. Manning says, and then she follows it up by saying, these actions by Mr. Winters are clearly why the sale of this house fell through. From buyer's perspective, the potential buyer's perspective. But let's go back to paragraph number 4. The man walked directly past us and confronted the sellers. The testimony from Mr. Winters today is he had no idea the sellers were there, not at all. So it makes no sense in this declaration by Christina Manning that she would directly contradict Mr. Winters' testimony. Mr. Winters was not credible when I heard him before, and he is not credible now. He directly contradicted all of these paragraphs in this and did so in a way that I don't find is credible. He said he never knew that there was buyers at that house, yet in paragraph 4, she said he pushed directly past us and then I ushered them into the house. They weren't in the house. They were ushered into the house based on the aggressive behavior. He also said that he testified, Mr. Winters did testify today, that he didn't think there was, maybe it was a little bit vulgar to call people somebody these things, but, he wasn't really intending to fight. Yet again, there was testimony from a third-party witness to this, an eyewitness, or at least within earshot, to say he was challenging Nick to get out of the car. That is a clear, with the vulgar language that is used, was clear invitation to fight. And that then colors everything else that Mr. Winters is wanting this court to believe about his conduct at these various incidents. It's two different perspectives of the incident then, whether or not he was following them in the woods. Ms. Shields has testified that he was following her. He recognized her. He knew who this individual was. And she was concerned because he seemed to be hiding in the woods. He says, no, I never did that. It was maybe somebody else. But again, his credibility is clearly colored by what his version of events is at this incident, October 18, which doesn't square with any of the testimony from the other individuals who were there on October 18. Then we get to the police calls. Twice, there is differing testimony from Mr. Winters today from what he told the police on those two different police incident reports. And both of his claims today are, well, police got it wrong. So if Mr. Winters is to be believed, not only did all the affiants get it wrong about what happened on October 18th, the police also got it wrong. Ms. Shields' eyes got it wrong. There is a clear conduct and a pattern of harassing behavior here. Now, the issue is whether or not there is a property dispute. There can be a property dispute, but you don't push past the realtor in order to go deal with it. You don't call the police multiple times. It makes no credible sense that he would call the police to report that a neighbor was having a dispute over a well and the power to a well if he's calling the police and saying there's an issue with the power, it needs to be addressed, or there's some criminal wrongdoing. Why would he call on behalf of a neighbor? That's never been addressed here. Why is he calling on behalf of a neighbor to report a power dispute? It makes no sense. There's no indication that the neighbor was having problems getting a hold of police if they had wanted to respond to that. The issue is Mr. Winters calling the police, and then his explanation today is, well, I misunderstood. Or the police misunderstood what I was telling. I don't find that credible at all. This is clearly harassing behavior that has gotten out of control. The issue is whether or not, going back to that property, he is going to continue to try to break up the sale of this property. It still needs to be sold, that's my understanding, correct? Counsel? Has to be sold. And what I don't want to have a situation of, and I appreciate Ms. Shields is no longer living there, but what I don't want to have is Ms. Shields to be back on that property with a new buyer, and Mr. Winters decides to go take into his own hands a new incident. break down that sale. If he wants her to be gone, the best thing to do is not get involved with breaking up the sales and pushing past realtors, going onto their driveway by credible testimony and credible declarations, going into their driveway to yell at them, there's a realtor standing right there. So I am going to enter the order. I don't find his testimony credible. I believe there's been between the incident of the woods, the incident on October 18, the incidents related to the police telephone calls. There's a clear pattern of harassing and course of conduct of harassing behavior. Anyone would be seriously alarmed by this. Anybody who's trying to sell a house, who's showing it to a realtor and showing it to a potential buyer, would clearly be threatened when someone is out there in the driveway calling them exceptionally vulgar names and threatening to get out of the car. And the only way that can be interpreted is to challenge them to a fight. That's clearly annoying. Clearly. And clearly troubling. And there's no question in my mind that would cause someone, if they're on the eve of sale of their house, significant, there was testimony of this, significant, substantial emotional harm as a result. So I'm not getting in, I'm not even factoring into who was right or who was wrong, pulling up the stakes. That's not where I'm laying this decision on. Laying this decision, what happened on the 18th, on following in the woods and on the 911 calls, which when you look at them in context and look at them with the credibility, which I don't believe that there is credible testimony on those issues from Mr. Winters, there's a clear course of conduct for those reasons, regardless of who was right or who was wrong in pulling out the stakes. That issue now is done, but this order is going to enter for 1 year. Again, I will draft it. I will take some time to draft an order because I'm not trying to stop him from driving past their property or use a driveway, anything of that nature, or if he needs to call a legitimate third party fence builder or a third party a surveyor to go out there. I'm not going to interfere with any of that. But this has to end before it escalates further. Questions?
No, you're on.
I would just note his mailbox is right when you're considering, as well as the driveway, his mailbox is right next to their home.
Yeah, it's within 75 feet of their line.
It's within 75 feet of the property line.
So let us figure out how to address that in this order. Do you have some proposed language? I'll be reasonable on that. I do think he obviously needs to get to his mailbox.
My understanding is the mailbox is at the corner of the road.
We have two mailboxes, one by the gate, one by the main road.
And you use both.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two mailboxes. One is at the gate and one is by the main road. He uses both. And
Well, where is the mail delivered? Which the mail isn't going to deliver to two mailboxes. Which one is the mail delivering to?
The one by the road, Your Honor. And there's one by our gate, which is for postal, because they can't make it down our driveway. Packages.
When he said postal, he meant packages.
Like Amazon or something?
Yes.
How far is the road, like when you're driving?
All right, I'm gonna enter, let's get to that in a minute. I'm gonna enter this first for 1 year ending April 15 of 2027. It's gonna be an anti-harassing order. I'm not gonna find a stocking on this. Just straightforward anti-harassment. This is gonna restrain Stephen Lee Winter. I don't know, did anybody fill out a law enforcement cover sheet on this case, Mr. Gooday? You know, at post realignment.
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm not going to order the surrender of firearms. I don't know if you have access to firearms, but I'm not going to order your surrender of firearms. So you any firearms you have, you can keep. There any children, at issue that need protection? I assume they're not gonna be over the property at this point.
No, Your Honor.
And I don't believe your husband, you weren't asking for protection of your husband at this point, correct? I didn't see that in your,
Well, we understand that as an adult, that would have to be its own separate word.
very good, that was my assumption as well. I'm not gonna find that there's any, partners or family or household members. Again, I'm only using the incident and not a stalking of the issue in the following in the woods, but only of a further course of conduct that would seriously harass or harm. Waiving fees in this case. I'm not gonna find a credible threat to substantiate a firearms issue at this point. I'm gonna order no harm, no physical, bodily injury, assault, non-consensual sexual conduct, non-consensual sexual penetration, not threaten, harm, or harass, threaten, or stop. Protected party, no contact with the protected party, direct, indirect, or through third parties, except for legal service process against the protected party. No stalking behavior, do not follow, harass, monitor, keep under physical or electronic surveillance or cyber harass, use phone, video, audio, or other electronic means to report, photograph, track locations, communications, including digital wire, electronic communications, to the protected party. Exclude or stay away from the protected person. Mr. G'day, I need the address of the location of the, I realize she may not be living there, but I need the address from your client of the location where the home is being sold.
It's 1 Road, Longview, Washington.
Sorry, one more second. Do you have a workplace as well? I don't need to know the address.
No, Your Honor, I'm not working for
Okay.
medical reasons.
Okay, say that address again.
98632.
Okay, and what do counsel, between the two of you, what do you want to come up with for this, the issue with the parcels or the the postal?
Well, what do you want? He wants me to talk to the attorney.
Or if you two want it, I mean, I don't want to preclude him from getting his mail, today. And I think we need to put something in there. He can drive by that residence. Is authorized to drive by so long as he doesn't stop. Stop unnecessarily in front of that address, because I assume he's gonna have to drive by it to get to it. So I'll add that in too.
He
It's obviously
absolutely has
not
to
trying
get
to
the,
keep you from living at your house, sir. Just trying to keep you away from any contact. So how do we want to do this mailbox issue?
Ms. Shields wants to, can she address the court?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm really confused about that because the mailbox and all of the other neighbors' mailboxes is all the way at the end of Leland Road, then the road that you go into town.
Okay,
And so it doesn't affect him being able to get the mail. Anytime he drives by and he's gonna go into town, the mailboxes are right there on the corner of Leland.
okay. So Ms. Denver, do you want a minute with that in mind to talk to your client? Well, I'm gonna write out, he can drive by the road. Will you respond to that, or do you need a moment with your client?
right, I'll just talk to him about how much space he needs, cause yeah, the road, he has to drive down it and the mailbox
Yeah.
is at the end. So I think he said 750 feet.
Yeah.
Probably from the house to both the mailbox or the road.
Well,
I
the
mean,
1,000 feet is only gonna go to where she resides. I'm just gonna say no going to 140 Leland Road, Longview, Washington. Respondent authorized to drive by, just not stopping near the house. I mean, does that solve it?
I think so, but his mailbox is, I think, less than 1,000
But
feet
he's not
radius.
residing there. That's my point, is the 1,000 feet radius is
Oh, I see.
residing, not the address of 140 Leland.
Sure, I guess just based on kind of the contentiousness of the proceeding, it would be helpful to make it clear
That's
that
fine.
he is allowed to get his mail at that mail.
I'll add that, that's fine.
Thank you.
I'll add that. It's a public road, correct?
Yes.
My client said it's a private road.
I'm just gonna put road, P2. I'm just gonna put road. You two need to further figure out that, we can figure it out later. Not stop near the house. Respondent can access his mailbox. Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Does that work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm gonna keep the address confidential to protect the party. There's no reason that Mr. Shields needs to know where she's living now.
I think you just got the name wrong.
I think you meant Mr. Winter.
Yeah, Mr. Winters doesn't need to know where Ms. Shields is living now. No further services are required. Is this within the city limits of Longview? Is that where we're at? I'm just gonna put Longview Police Department in the service.
Oh, you mean the courthouse?
No, where it needs to be sent to
Oh,
for
okay.
processing.
Sure, Your Honor.
No further services required. You appeared in person, sir. No review hearing is scheduled. I need somebody to, we need to fill out the restrained, other than male. And gender male and race white. I need one of you can estimate on his physical description, height, weight, eye color, hair color, skin tone, and build. I'm gonna go ahead and sign this, Mr. G'day. I'll have you and Ms. Denver come up first, review it together. If you see any mistakes that I made, let me know and we'll address them right now. And then if it looks good to both of you, at least as to form, I recognize Ms. Denver, you may have other concerns, but if it looks good as to form, I'll have you and your client sign off on it and then leave, and then I'll have Ms. Shields and Mr. G'day stay for just a moment, and then they can sign off, but that way you two can leave the courtroom at the same time, okay? Or at different times, sorry. I just don't want anybody leaving the courtroom at the same time. All right, come on up, take a look at this, Ms. Denver and Mr. G'day, and let me know. We'll go from there. And then Ms. All right, come on up, take a look at this, Ms. Denver and Mr. G'day, and let me know. We'll go from there. And then Ms. Denver, do you want this USB thumb drive back?
Sure.
It hasn't been formally entered into evidence.
So just thinking out loud, it says that would be the protected person, so when she goes to Leland to sell the house.
If you want to modify it to 750 feet, we can do that too. I think would that resolve the issue if he's more than 750 feet away?
Well, I mean, on our end, yeah, because it says that he can't come within 1,000 feet of.
Yeah, I can, I'm willing to modify that,
Her residence isn't Leland though,
but she's not living in Leland.
but when she shows up to Leland, the protected person says, so if we change it to 750, would that be okay then?
I believe is
Yeah.
750.
All right, we'll make that change. I'll get that in just a second.
Okay. Where's the part with you were talking about the weight or the race?
First page.
You can fill that in.
Not me. Seriously, you want me to go this?
Usually the petitioner has to fill that in.
If I was in Miss Denver's, I would probably do the same thing. Worse. You can ask your client if you need to, Mr.
Either
Good.
put his
I'm not gonna guess from here.
height, weight, eye color, hair color.
I need to do that?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do it. I'm not gonna guess from here. Other than that 750 feet, is there anything else?
I don't believe so.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that out, both locations, and make it clear that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off on this order dated today's date, 5:31 p.m. Okay, Ms. Denver, I'll fill out the court address, but to get people out of here, go ahead and if you could have your client, yourself and your client sign on it. All right, thank you. You're free to go. Mr. G'day, your client, want to come up and sign it? If anybody wants a copy of it, it'll probably be available tomorrow at the clerk's office. Thank you all.